Welcome back. Today we will learn about the shocking hypocrisy brewing in Salem as Brady Black and his son Tate find themselves entangled in a web of deception that exposes their contradictory desires regarding parenthood and adoption. The unraveling web of lies. The latest explosive developments in Salem center around Sophia Choi's elaborate deception that has left both father and son Brady and Tate Black desperately searching for answers about a child they claim to care about, yet never truly wanted to raise. As the week of September 1st to 5th unfolds, viewers witness the stunning revelation that threatens to shatter the carefully constructed facade that Sophia and her co-conspirator Melinda Trask have maintained for months. The crisis intensifies when Brady discovers the supposedly heartwarming photograph of his grandchild's adoptive parents is nothing more than a generic stock photo purchased from Central Casting. This discovery sends shockwaves through the penthouse as Brady confronts the uncomfortable reality that everything Sophia told them about the adoption was fabricated. The perfectly framed image that once brought comfort to Tate now serves as damning evidence of systematic deception. A father's desperate investigation. Brady's world crumbles further when he realizes the child in question may not even be female, contrary to what Sophia had led them to believe. The gender confusion becomes a pivotal clue that gnaws at Brady's conscience, driving him to enlist the investigative expertise of Steve Johnson to uncover the truth behind Sophia's elaborate scheme. Steve's preliminary findings confirm Brady's worst fears. The adoption attorney Sophia claimed to use had no involvement in any such case, and the family photographs were indeed purchased from a stock photo website. The irony becomes increasingly apparent as Brady throws himself into this investigation with unprecedented determination. Here is a man who actively encouraged the adoption process, who supported his teenage son's decision to give away his child, yet now expends enormous energy and resources to locate that same child he was so eager to see placed elsewhere. This contradiction highlights a troubling pattern of selective paternal instinct that only emerges when control and knowledge are at stake, not when actual parenting responsibilities loom. Tate's naive pursuit. Young Tate Black embodies the same contradictory impulses as his father, though perhaps with less awareness of his own hypocrisy. His shock upon learning about the fraudulent photographs quickly transforms into determination to obtain the adoption papers from Sophia, documents he never bothered to verify during the actual adoption process. The teenager who was once relieved to avoid the responsibilities of fatherhood now demands transparency about a child he willingly signed away. When Tate approaches Sophia in the town square requesting copies of the adoption papers, his motivations become suspect. Is this sudden interest driven by genuine concern for his child's welfare, or merely by a need to satisfy his curiosity and maintain control over a situation that has spiraled beyond his influence? The evidence suggests the latter, as neither Tate nor Brady have expressed any intention to actively parent the child they're so desperately seeking. The double standard exposed. The most glaring aspect of this unfolding drama is the blatant double standard exhibited by both Brady and Tate Black. When faced with an unplanned pregnancy, both father and son readily embraced adoption as the ideal solution, viewing it as a convenient way to avoid the disruption that a baby would bring to their carefully planned lives. They supported Sophia's decision, facilitated the process, and expressed relief when they believed the child was safely placed with loving adoptive parents. However, now that deception has been revealed, their priorities have shifted dramatically. Suddenly, the same child they were eager to place elsewhere becomes the object of intense investigation and emotional investment. They demand to know the child's whereabouts, gender, and circumstances, information they showed little interest in verifying when it might have prevented this current crisis. This selective engagement reveals a troubling pattern where control and knowledge matter more than actual commitment. The Toro connection. Perhaps the most damning evidence of their hypocrisy lies in the Toro situation that has emerged from Steve's investigation. Brady learns that Steve encountered Javi with a newborn boy named Toro who was abandoned at the fire station. A detail that makes Brady's eyes dart around nervously as he processes the timeline implications. The abandoned infant represents everything Brady and Tate claim to be seeking, a child in need, potentially their own biological family member, requiring care and stability. Yet when presented with this concrete opportunity to demonstrate their commitment to parenthood, both men hesitate. Brady's immediate response is to dismiss the possibility based on timeline concerns, while Tate remains focused on obtaining paperwork rather than considering the welfare of a real child who may be his son. Their reaction to Tesoro's situation exposes the fundamental selfishness underlying their entire approach to this crisis. Melinda's desperate damage control. Meanwhile, Melinda Trask finds herself desperately trying to maintain control over a situation that is rapidly spiraling beyond her ability to manage. Her attempts to reassure the panicking Sophia that everything remains under control ring hollow as Brady's investigation continues to uncover new evidence of their deception. Melinda's involvement in creating fake adoption papers and facilitating Sophia's elaborate lies demonstrates how far supposedly responsible adults will go to avoid dealing with the consequences of teenage decisions. The panic spreading through Melinda's office reflects the inevitable collapse of their carefully constructed narrative. As Brady's investigation gains momentum and Steve's revelations mount, both Melinda and Sophia face the prospect of serious legal consequences for their fraudulent activities. Their desperation highlights how quickly well-intentioned deception can transform into criminal conspiracy. The broader implications. This storyline reveals uncomfortable truths about modern attitudes toward parenthood and responsibility. Brady and Tate's behavior exemplifies a disturbing trend where individuals want the emotional satisfaction of being connected to their biological children without accepting the daily responsibilities that parenthood entails. They desire knowledge, control, and involvement on their terms, but recoil from the commitment that genuine parenting requires. Their hypocrisy becomes even more pronounced when contrasted with the dedication shown by characters like Rafe, Javi, and Leo, who are actually fostering and caring for baby Tesoro. These individuals demonstrate authentic commitment to child welfare, providing practical care and emotional support without biological connection or legal obligation. Their actions highlight the stark difference between genuine nurturing and the performative concern exhibited by Brady and Tate. The question of future commitment. As this drama continues to unfold, viewers must wonder whether Brady and Tate would actually step up to adopt Tesoro if he proves to be Tate's biological son. Their track record suggests skepticism is warranted. Both men showed enthusiasm for adoption when it meant removing a child from their lives, but their current investigation seems motivated more by curiosity and control than by genuine parental instinct. The ultimate test of their character will come if and when they locate their missing child. Will they demonstrate the same commitment to active parenting that they're currently showing to detective work? Or will they find new excuses to maintain their distance while still claiming emotional investment in the child's welfare? The evidence suggests that Brady and Tate's hypocrisy runs deep, revealing men who want the satisfaction of being biologically connected to children without the sacrifice that effective parenting requires. Their current crisis may force them to confront these uncomfortable truths about themselves and their priorities. Chad knows what he wants, a turning point in Salem's story of love, loss, and new beginnings. Life in Salem has always been filled with unexpected twists, and for Chad DiMera, this week proved to be a defining moment. After years of carrying the heavy weight of love and loss, Chad is finally forced to confront something that has been building quietly in the background: his growing feelings for Kat. What started as a friendship, a place of comfort and companionship in the middle of his grief, has slowly transformed into something undeniable. But, as with everything in Salem, matters of the heart are never simple. It all began on what should have been an ordinary family outing. Chad and Kat had taken the children for a playful day of miniature golf, only to have their closeness interrupted by Rachel, who appeared at just the wrong moment. Just as Chad leaned in for a kiss, Rachel caught sight of them. It was an innocent slip, but one that carried enormous weight. In Salem, children are often the first to see truths that adults try to hide, and Rachel's sharp eyes left both Chad and Kat shaken. After dropping the children off, Chad insisted on walking Kat home. The streets were quiet, but the silence between them carried the weight of unspoken fears. Kat worried aloud that Rachel might have seen too much. For her, the thought of Rachel witnessing their kiss felt like a betrayal to family bonds, something that could cause confusion and heartbreak if left unaddressed. Chad, however, was far calmer. He reasoned that if Rachel truly had seen their kiss, she would have reacted immediately, perhaps even ending their moment on the spot. His words were meant to soothe Kat's troubled mind, but she couldn't help herself. She feared that what had happened between them was a mistake in Chad's eyes. But Chad was quick to correct her. The only mistake, he admitted, was not telling you sooner how I felt. It was a confession that Kat hadn't expected. For so long, Chad had seemed closed off, tethered to the ghost of his late wife, Abigail. Though everyone knew how much he had loved her, Chad himself had struggled to separate his grief from the possibility of moving forward. For months, he wrestled with questions. Were these feelings for Kat real? Or were they simply echoes of what he once had with Abigail? Now, standing outside Kat's apartment, Chad's words left no doubt. He told her plainly that what had begun as friendship had deepened into something much more. His affection for her was not a shadow of the past, but something new, alive, and real. Kat, however, remained hesitant. Her heart wanted to believe him, but her mind was full of doubts. Could they really move forward? Could they risk everything, including the opinions of their families and the memories of those who had come before? Chad himself admitted that he had feared how Jack and Jennifer, the parents of his late wife, might react. They were family to him, and he owed them respect. But every time he pulled back out of loyalty or fear, Kat interpreted it as rejection. The moment hung in the air as Kat opened the door to let Chad leave. It seemed the safe, simple way out, a quiet goodbye before things became too complicated. But Chad surprised her. With sudden determination, he reached out and pushed the door shut behind him, refusing to let her retreat. Looking into her eyes, Chad confessed something he had never expected to feel again. After Abigail, he believed he would never experience a bond that deep, a connection that shook him to his core. Yet here he was, standing with Kat, feeling alive in ways he hadn't allowed himself to feel for years. Still, Chad was honest about the challenges ahead. He admitted openly that he carried baggage, a lifetime of grief, responsibility, and family loyalty. Any relationship between them would have to be handled carefully. There were children involved, and the shadow of Abigail's memory would always linger in the background. There were also the voices of others to consider, Jack, Jennifer, and Julie, whose opinions carried weight in their lives. But for that moment, Chad wasn't thinking about all the complications. He wasn't thinking about the whispers of the town, the risks of scandal, or the disapproving glances that might come their way. All he knew was that he wanted Kat, and he wanted her now. So, he silenced the doubts, leaned in, and kissed her. It wasn't just any kiss. It was the kind of kiss that carried all the weight of his confession, the declaration that his heart was ready to move forward, that he was choosing to live again. For Kat, it was the answer to the questions she had been afraid to ask. What comes next for Chad and Kat is uncertain, but what is clear is this. Salem is about to witness a new love story, one built on courage, vulnerability, and the power of second chances. For Chad, who once believed his heart had been buried with Abigail, this moment marks the beginning of a new chapter. And in Salem, new chapters always bring with them drama, joy, and the promise of change.